Nazi Germany, at the top of its game, wants to take over the Caucasus region of the Soviet Union, a place full of oil. The oil fields are crucial for fueling their war machine, and controlling them would give the Nazis a significant advantage. But there's a problem. The city of Stalingrad, named after the Soviet leader himself. Stalingrad is not just a strategic point. It holds immense symbolic value for both sides. This wasn't just any battle. This was a huge fight between two powerful forces, a fight for survival. The battle would rage on for months, with both sides pouring in massive resources and manpower. What happened here would decide the future of the war. The Germans, with their plan called Operation Blue, wanted to stop the Soviets from fighting and grab their resources. Operation Blue was meticulously planned, aiming to capture the oil fields and cripple the Soviet war effort. Hitler was obsessed with Stalingrad. Taking the city named after Stalin would be a huge win for him, making the Soviets look weak. He believed that capturing Stalingrad would break Soviet morale and pave the way for further advances. But Hitler didn't know what he was getting into. Stalingrad would become a symbol of brutal city fighting, showing how tough humans can be, but also how horrible war is. The city turned into a hellish landscape, with soldiers fighting street by street, building by building. So many people would die there. The Battle of Stalingrad would go down in history as one of the bloodiest battles ever fought, with immense suffering on both sides. The human cost was staggering, and the city's ruins stood as a testament to the horrors of war. Stalingrad wasn't just a city, it was a symbol. It represented the Soviet Union's strength and industry. The Volga River, which flowed through the city, was super important for moving supplies. Losing Stalingrad would be really bad for the Soviets. For the Soviets, defending Stalingrad was a must. They were fighting for their homes, their beliefs, their very existence. Stalin gave a famous order, not one step back. They had to defend every inch of land with everything they had. This made Stalingrad super strong. Factories became forts, and apartment buildings became fighting positions. The Soviets were ready to make the Germans pay for every inch of their land. What happened in Stalingrad was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The city, once a bustling hub of life and industry, was reduced to a nightmarish landscape of rubble and ruin. The scale of destruction was unimaginable, with entire neighborhoods flattened and smoke rising from the remains of what were once homes and businesses. The fighting was brutal and close range, happening in the destroyed city. Soldiers engaged in hand-to-hand combat amidst the debris, using whatever they could find as weapons. The chaos of urban warfare meant that every corner, every shadow could hide an enemy. Buildings became battlefields and streets were like no man's land. The once familiar streets turned into deadly traps with snipers and machine gunners lurking in the ruins. The urban environment transformed into a maze of danger and death. Snipers hid in the ruins, shooting at anyone they saw. They were masters of their environment, using the shattered buildings to their advantage. Every window, every crack in the wall was a potential sniper's nest. But the Soviets had a secret weapon: their toughness. Their resilience was unmatched, forged in the harsh conditions of their homeland. They were fighting not just for survival, but for their very way of life. They knew the city, they were fighting for their homes, and they would never give up. The familiarity with their surroundings gave them an edge, allowing them to navigate the ruins with a sense of purpose and determination. Soviet soldiers, even though they didn't always have the best equipment, were determined to fight to the death. Their spirit and resolve were their greatest weapons, often compensating for the lack of advanced gear. They fought the Germans face to face inside buildings. The close quarters combat was intense and personal, with every room and hallway becoming a battleground. This wasn't a war with just tanks and big guns anymore. It was a fight to survive in the ruins. The soldiers had to rely on their wits and instincts to navigate the treacherous landscape. Every destroyed building and fallen soldier made the Soviets even more determined to resist. Their losses only fueled their resolve, turning their grief into a fierce determination to defend their city at all costs. The Soviets had a clever plan to defend themselves: defense in depth. Instead of putting all their soldiers in one line, they created many layers of defense. This made the Germans go deeper into the city, making it hard to get supplies and easy to be attacked from the sides. Even if the Germans took a building or street, more Soviet soldiers were waiting to fight them. This constant fighting, along with the freezing Russian winter, started to wear down the Germans. They were used to winning quickly, but now they were stuck in a long and difficult battle. Things were slowly changing, and the Soviets were getting ready to attack back. As the winter in Stalingrad got worse, the Soviets made their move, Operation Uranus. On November 19, 1942, Soviet forces, led by General Georgy Zhukov, launched a huge attack from two sides, aiming to trap the German Sixth Army inside Stalingrad. The German defenses, weak and unprepared for the winter, crumbled under the Soviet attack. Within days, the trap was set. The once powerful Sixth Army was stuck in Stalingrad, surrounded by the Soviets. Hitler, stubborn as ever, refused to let his army retreat. He thought his air force could bring supplies and that another force could break through the Soviets. He was very wrong. Trapped in Stalingrad, the German Sixth Army faced a terrible fate. They were running out of food and ammunition, and the Russian winter was getting worse. Temperatures dropped incredibly low, freezing soldiers to death. The German Air Force tried to bring supplies, but it wasn't enough. Soviet defenses shot down many planes, and the ones that got through couldn't carry enough supplies. Hunger and sickness spread through the German soldiers. On February 2, 1943, after months of suffering, the German general surrendered to the Soviets. Of the almost 300,000 German soldiers who were trapped, only about 91,000 were left, most of them sick and injured. The Battle of Stalingrad was a turning point in World War II. It was one of the deadliest battles in history, lasting from August 23, 1942 to February 2, 1943. The fierce fighting and immense sacrifices made by both sides marked a significant shift in the war's momentum. The German defeat showed that they weren't invincible and gave hope to the Allies. This victory was crucial as it boosted the morale of the Allied forces and demonstrated that the Axis powers could be defeated. The psychological impact of this defeat on the German troops was profound, leading to a decline in their fighting spirit. It was the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. The loss at Stalingrad marked the start of a series of defeats for the Nazis, eventually leading to their downfall. The relentless advance of the Allied forces from the west and the Soviet forces from the east squeezed the German military, hastening the end of the war in Europe. The battle also had a huge impact on the Soviets. It was a testament to their resilience and strategic prowess. The Soviet leadership under Stalin managed to turn the tide of the war in their favor, showcasing their ability to mobilize and sustain a massive war effort despite the initial setbacks. It became a symbol of their strength and their ability to overcome anything. The victory at Stalingrad was celebrated as a heroic achievement and became a central theme in Soviet propaganda, reinforcing the narrative of Soviet invincibility and the righteousness of their cause. The city, rebuilt from the ruins, was renamed Volgograd, a reminder of the river that witnessed so much sacrifice. The reconstruction of Stalingrad was a monumental task, symbolizing the resilience and determination of its people. Today, Volgograd stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of its inhabitants and their ability to rebuild and move forward. Stalingrad reminds us of the horrors of war, the terrible cost of fighting, and the enduring power of courage and sacrifice. The battle's legacy is preserved in numerous memorials and museums, serving as a poignant reminder of the human cost of conflict and the importance of striving for peace. It's a story that's still important today, reminding us that peace is fragile and that we should learn from the mistakes of the past. The lessons of Stalingrad continue to resonate, urging us to cherish peace and work towards a world where such devastating conflicts are a thing of the past.